4:01 now. Thank you, everyone, for coming on a cold Thursday afternoon. This talk was sponsored by the MIC, the Center for Multilingual and Intercultural Communication. And it was rescheduled from February to now. Finally, it's here. So thank you. Thank you again, everyone, for being here. And I want to thank Agnes He, who invited our distinguished guest speaker here, and the team here behind the scene, Chicago-san, who made all of this happening, and our great intern, Cosmo and Jacqueline, right? Thank you, and everyone who coming here, and also our distinguished guest here. So before the exciting talk, I'm gonna take a minute to introduce our guest to you a little bit. So it's my very great honor to welcome today's guest. Her work actually sits right at the intersection of the theme of the MIC, the language interaction, and the very questions we find ourselves grappling with in our classroom and in daily life. So Professor Hansun Zhang Warring is a professor of linguistics and education at Teachers College from Columbia University. And also, she's the founder of the Language and Social Interaction Workshop Group with the acronym LANCY. And as a both applied linguist and also a conversation analyst, Hansun has spent her career paying very close attention to how people actually talk to each other in the classroom, between parents and children, across cultural contexts, and increasingly, now we are hearing with AI, right? So her work has appeared in leading journals. I'm not going to name all the journals because that's too much. Across all the applied linguistics and discourse analysis. And she served on editorial boards of several very prominent publication houses in the field. So what I find especially exciting about today's workshop is Hansun brings a rare combination of the theoretical depths and also the practical curiosities to a question that many of us are actually already living inside, right? The things that we're using every day. So what does it actually mean to use ChatGPT as a conversational partner? And does it work? What does that mean for interactional competence? So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Professor Hansun Zhang Warring for her talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yi, for that lovely introduction, and thank you to Dr. Agnes He for inviting me. And it's such an honor to be invited by you because I've been such an admirer of your work for many, many years. My classes use your readings, and I've cited your work, so it's a real honor. Thank you. This is my talk today, and so I start with the idea that traditionally in classroom we think about two parties, teachers and student, and this has been changing, and if you just go on internet and newspapers, you have this kind of a third party intruder, and now we get something like this. So we got like this third wheel. The participation framework of classroom interaction is looking a little different, but I'm oversimplifying because there's always these third parties in the classroom. So there's Blackboard, there's PowerPoint, there's dictionary, who knows? There's all these different third things that we use, right? But somehow this one feels a little different. This one feels it's a little bit more than PowerPoint. It's a little bit more than just a basic tool. But that's not my expertise. I'm going to leave that to somebody. Somebody else should give a talk on this. So I should stay in my lane. My lane is applied linguistics. So I'm going to stay in applied linguistics. And in applied linguistics, we've done a lot of work on ChatGPT, but mostly with writing. And this is based on a systematic review of my colleague Fang Han and another scholar did. And also, even within the study of speaking, the focus has been on how ChatGPT has helped us promote students' willingness to speak, and these are all perception studies. So nobody has really looked at the actual interaction. Not nobody, but most of the work is being on perceptions of people's surveys and interviews, and how do you feel? What's your experience with So what I'm going to try to do today is to kind of look at the interactions of ChatGPT and language learners, and this is based on the corpus of in such interaction my colleague Eric Voss and I collected. So with this particular data set, I'm trying to figure out, right? We're trying to figure out how good is ChatGPT as a conversation partner for language learners. And in particular, is it any good in terms of developing interactional competence for language learners? So in terms of interactional competence, and we know that it's kind of there's decades of conversation analytic work that shows how interactional competence is actually constituted by specific practices. So it's not just a very abstract set of constructs. It's the specific things you do in terms of taking turns, turn-taking practices, in terms of building courses of actions. You do different things with the turns you've got, sequencing practices, and in terms of openings and closings and the overall structure in the conversation, and also in terms of repairing, right? The thing that if we address problems in speaking and hearing, understanding, that goes through all these different levels. So these are a set of practices that build up, that's part of what we call interaction. And let's see. So I'm going to ask this question, though, what is the role of ChatGPT in helping learners develop this particular competence? And also, in what way is it any good, right? Does it excel or fail at being a conversation partner? And I'm going to specifically look at these three aspects of turn-taking, sequencing, and repair. So in turn-taking, for example, there are these different building blocks. There are ways of building a turn, and there are ways of allocating a turn. And I'm going to start with a little clip, so you can I'll play it, so we'll get a sense of what are some of the components of turn-taking looks like.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Okay.
Good.
I wanted to know if you got a, parking place this morning.
A parking place?
Mm-hmm.
Where?
Oh, just any place. I was just sitting there.
No. What's the matter with you? You sound
Nothing.
happy.
So this is what turn-taking sounds like in natural conversation. So there's a couple of things. One is that it has lots of, I should go over specifics a little bit more. So there's different, the turn are built with different kinds of units. So there's little lexical units, like hi, hello, and how are you? There's clausal units, and there's also phrasal units, a parking place. And sometimes it's a single unit turn, just one thing, and sometimes you get a multi-unit turn, like, oh, just any place, I was just kidding you. So there's two things, right? So there's a lot of variety in this thing, and can think of it in terms of turn size varies quite a bit. And if you go back and look again, there's very little silence, right? And there's a little bit overlap. And in terms of kind of managing the space between turns, silence and overlaps in generally minimized. So just if you can keep those things in mind, right? Now, I'm going to play a bit of a ChatGPT turn taking, and if you can focus on those things. Turn size varies. How is it managing silence?
MJ the musical sounds amazing. Michael Jackson's music is so iconic. What did you think of the show? Did any particular performance stand out to you? That sounds fantastic. It must have been a great experience hearing those classic songs live. Do you have a favorite Michael Jackson song? That's totally okay. His music has so many great hits, it can be hard to pick just one. It's awesome that you enjoyed the musical and got to experience all that great energy.
So one thing we're noticing is we got these turns, and they're very big. They're multi-unit turns, and it's the same. It doesn't vary. There's nothing wrong with producing multi-unit turns. We all do that. The thing is, it's consistent, right? It's the same. The other thing we can notice is this. Look at all these silence. Again, there's nothing wrong of having silence. And silence in conversation is there for a reason, for cause sometimes, right? You don't want to go to dinner. Somebody invites you to dinner. There's a bit of a 0.8 second of silence, and then you say, I'd love to, but blah, blah, blah. But these are not, we can look into why these are misplaced in the first place, and then there's this they're not minimized, and there's no sense of overlap in any case. So one thing in terms of constraints, in terms of turn-taking, what is the language partner getting, not getting, is it's exposed. You're talking to practicing conversation ChatGPT, you're exposed to a very limited range of turn sizes, one size. And then you're also exposed to this skewed sense of silence. So there's a bit too much silence, and also silences appeared in placed in odd places. There's technical reasons for that, but that's not my job, right? My job is to look at it and says how is it doing. And then there's of course there's no exposure to overlaps. If you I have lots of these transcripts and you don't see the people simultaneous talk, all that kind of stuff. But are there affordances, right? So if you talk to ChatGPT, practice English, are there opportunities? So to answer that question, you kind of have to go look at classroom discourse and what does it usually look like if you're a language learner. So it usually looks like this. So you're producing these very small size lexical unit turns. O's, several yeses. So you're not, typically you don't get to do these long multi-unit turns. That's one thing. You're also kind of locked into this response slot of initiation, response, feedback. So you are always selected to talk. You're not selecting the other to talk. So in classroom, this is what kind of looks like for language learners. And I've written something that was a long time, moving out of IRF, how hard it is for a language learner to move out of this IRF sequence, basically moving out of the R slot of the initiation, response, feedback slot. And Christian Jacknet also wrote something called Breaking In is Hard to Do, how students can negotiate classroom activity shifts. It's not that students don't do it. Students definitely do it. It just takes extra work. It's not the default. So this is different when you talk to ChatGPT. So I'm going to just play this first.
And we enjoyed the ambience. I didn't like the popcorns. Do you like popcorns?
So you're probably noticing a bunch of things already, right? First of all, she is producing a multi-unit turn, and she's doing extra work to do it, and we enjoy the ambience / onto the next unit. I didn't like the popcorns. Secondly, she's also selecting the other. She's not just sitting there to be selected. Do you like popcorns? That's the first move. So she's doing a little, this is the environment where, the ChatGPT environment that kind of allows for that. And this is also an environment, this comes out like repeated in our data. So it's definitely a pattern. You get to produce a lot of multi-unit turns. So not unlike traditional classrooms where you produce these very small size turns. So this is.
You also enjoy visiting places outside of New York. There are so many amazing spots to see.
When I visit Metropolitan Museum, I learned about Egyptian culture because it was my first time when I saw real things from Egyptian culture. That was very amazing for me and for my son.
I just noticed that the transcript is missing an I before I saw. Okay, so before this, the L6 is telling AI what her experience of visiting places outside New York. And so AI in line 1 says it's great. So if there's an assessment, it's great that you also enjoy visiting places. There's so many amazing places to see. So these are kind of closing moves. So by line 4, you're arriving at a point where AI can continue or can select the next person, or L6 can self-select. There are lots of opportunities here, right? This is a sequence boundary. Anything can happen, except that in the classroom, this is usually not treated as a place where the student talks. Usually the teacher goes to do the next thing, right? But here, look what L6 does. Not only she produces a multi-unit turn. So this is another kind of a neat thing, like in this environment, talking to a machine, not AI, then you get to do these things that you don't normally get to do in the classroom. So if I want to just kind of summarize very quickly in terms of turn taking, what are the affordances or constraints? You get space to produce these multi-unit turns. You get space to kind of select the other. And on the other hand, you are exposure to a very limited range of turn sizes you're not hearing about, and exposure to kind of a skew sense of turn timings. like in terms of overlap and silence. You're not quite getting the how it happens in real life. So I'm going to move on to sequence. So sequencing, so sequence is basically a course of action, right? How you sequencing is building a course of action. And if you can use other terms like when people do requests or complaints, these are courses of actions, speech act terms. But we just look at it differently, I call them. So when we are building these things in, these are the realm of sequence. Basically, what do you do with the turns you get when you get them, right? Again, I'm going to start with a little example, kind of in natural conversation, what does it sound like? What are the kinds of actions? What are the kinds of courses of actions you build? This is a phone call.
Hello?
Marcia.
Yeah. Hi, Donnie.
Guess what?
What?
My car is stalled. I'm up here in the Glen.
Oh.
And I don't know if this is possible, but see, I have to open up the bank at in Brentwood.
Yeah, and I know you want, and I would, but except I've got to leave in about 5 minutes.
Okay, then I gotta call somebody else right away. Okay?
Okay, Donnie.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.
So something very short. The language level is very, it's not nothing complicated. It's not like complex clauses. And it's all linguistically, it's very, you need very little things. A whole lot of things are going on in terms of building courses of action. I'm just going to walk through this really quickly, not really getting to it. But so there's openings, right? There's so much going on in openings, identification, recognition, summon and ring. So there's all kinds of figuring out who you are, who I am. These are courses of actions. And there's things like a pre-sequence announcement. Guess what? What? And there are things like requesting, and it's not the kind of requesting you're getting in. It's done in a very sort of an indirect way. So there are things like rejecting, also done in a very indirect, subtle way. It's not what you get from textbooks. And then you have closing. So there's tons of stuff going on when you are in natural conversation, something really mundane. There's lots and lots of things going on in terms of building courses of action. Lots of varieties. So features of sequencing, if I can really quickly summarizing, so there's a great variety of actions. Any bit of interaction you picked up, there's a lot of stuff going on. And also, not only that, there's a great variety of ways of implementing those actions, right? So it's not just, if I request, it's not just, can you do X? Reject is not just, I'm sorry, I can't. So people do that in so many different kinds of ways, and CA really shows you what those ways look like. Now I'm going to play you some ChatGPT talk, and I try to make the point it has a very limited set of actions.
A great workout. Running 5 miles is impressive. How did it feel? That's a great show. It's both fun and helpful for practicing English. Do you have a favorite character so far?
That sounds interesting. The King of the Kings sounds like a powerful movie. What was it about?
Raphael's work in the Vatican is absolutely stunning. His frescoes are masterpieces. Which fresco or room in the Vatican do you like the most?
La Boheme is such a classic. It must have been incredible to see it live. Did you enjoy the music and the performance?
So it's built in a very specific set of way, or assessment, account, solicitation. Sometimes it does vary a little bit. It sounds like this. They take away the account and just directly goes to.
Awesome to hear. What did you get up to? Nice. What kind of food did you have at the restaurant?
That sounds great. Do you have any plans for the upcoming weekend?
And there's another things that it does quite a bit, offer and solicitude.
More help or just want to chat? Feel free to reach out. Good luck.
Hope you have a great week ahead. Let me know if you want to chat more or if there's anything else on your mind.
If you ever want more recommendations or just want to chat, feel free to reach out. Enjoy the movie night.
If you have any questions or need help with anything, feel free to ask. Anytime you need ideas or just want to chat, feel free to reach out. Have a fantastic week.
I think I can do a very good AI imitation now. So I kind of think of it as both affordance and constraint. Affordance in the sense that you get, you can learn to do these things really well because you hear it so often. You can talk, you can use these assessment account and queries and requests. Constraint in the sense, probably everybody now knows, it's very limited, right? you're going to talk like that in a very limited set of ways. So that's not it. So that's not the whole story in terms of sequence. There's something else interesting going on in terms of building courses of action. So I'm going to play this one and then go from there.
Oh, it's very fun. I like that.
Wait.
Oh, it's very fun. I like that.
Okay, that's okay. So the recording got cut off a little bit. AI says, "Did you do anything fun?" Oh, it's very fun. So what would you say if you are the person? So L4 goes, "Oh, it's very fun. I like that's." What are some of the options? Human options. I like. Just wait. That's an option, right? Because give the person space to work it out, right? So, or you like given what to help. You give some help. So there are different. Yeah, here are some of the things. This is what happens. That sounds great. Oh, wait, I don't know why it's not playing, but AI says that sounds great. So there is but this is not. This is actually very prevalent. There's a very the affective stance of AI is very affiliative, constantly.
That's awesome.
That's a great way to start the week.
Yes, that's right. Great job.
Your English is really good. You express yourself clearly, and it's great that you're practicing.
That's awesome. It's great when everything is delicious.
Again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's the only thing is that's the only thing. It's constantly like that. It's always affiliative. So you're basically exposed to this affiliative stance. They're good and bad about this the whole time. So beyond, actually, so just so that I'm not cherry picking, so sometimes it doesn't sound affiliative. There's one case in the recording that sounds like this.
It went out. What about you?
Oh, look at you, having an actual life. I just had a thrilling time doing nothing.
This one sounds very different. It's like very depressed, or I don't know. But it's going to the other extreme, and it's not doing the normal disaffiliative thing. Like, well, it didn't really go, like a normal human being. I mean, this happens. People do that, but but this is also the only case we have. So beyond kind of there are different stances, so the affiliative stance. So I'm going to play this one, then we'll talk about it.
Find any part of his story particularly surprising or inspiring?
Actually, I didn't know about him a lot, especially when he was a childhood. So it was surprising for me.
So L1 was telling AI about his. She went to MJ the musical, Michael Jackson, and so AI said, "Did you find any part of the story particularly surprising?" This is her answer, and so it was surprising for me. So okay, let's say you are the human person, right? You're the person. The person says, "It was surprising for me." That's how this ends. How would you respond? What would be some of the options that you can kind of throw out there? Yeah, surprising for me too. Okay. Anything else? What made it surprising, right? What's so surprising about it? So we have kind of all these different options.
Touching how his childhood experiences shaped his artistry. It's amazing how he turned those experiences into such powerful and iconic music. It's great that you got to learn more about him and feel connected to his story.
So instead of responding to that, like, "Oh, that's surprising for me too," or what made it so surprising, AI went on and kind of share what he knows about MJ the musical. So it's the knowledge. There is this stance. This is not affective stance. It's not affiliate, but it's an epistemic stance. And in conversation analysis, called K+. Like you always know. you never not know anything. So it's about what I know that's more important. So that also is a very prevalent in our data. So this K plus stance kind of shows up in different ways. One way is to constant offer to help, because I'm in a position to help you if you need help. The other way is to kind of, there's never anything like, there's never, whatever the learner says, there's never stuff like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, because it always knows. He or she always knows, or they always know. There's no news receipts or repair initiation. Like, oh, huh? What was that? I didn't get it. So there's an excessive assertion of knowledge. This is probably somebody you all kind of experienced, right? Always telling you what it knows. And so so that's the third thing I'm looking at in terms of sequencing. There's this K plus epistemic stance that's throughout the interaction.
You can be intense, but also really rewarding.
Robin is a great character. She's unique and adds a lot of humor to the show.
Sargent's use of light and color can be so captivating.
Croissants are delicious. They have a buttery, flaky texture and are perfect for breakfast or snack. Here are a few ideas. 1. Team breakfast or coffee. Start the week with a casual breakfast or coffee together. It's a nice way to catch up and set a positive tone. 2.
It's somebody who keeps your friend, the friend who gives you advice when you don't want it. K plus. So again, in terms of, I feel like it's an affordance and a constraint, because you get to learn you get to learn how to do being affiliative. You get to learn how to do being K plus knowledge, know a lot of stuff. At the same time, your exposure is very limited to these because human affective stances are wide-ranging, right? Knowledge stances are wide-ranging, and this is what it's giving you. So are there any more affordances, right, in terms of sequencing, building sequences? So one thing we noticed that it's get to be, so in the sequence you get to initiate or you get to respond, right? But in what this environment allows the language learner to do is to be the first mover, which is not, we don't get to do it very much if you're a language learner, okay? So this is what it sounds like.
I'm thinking, how about we having a coffee on Thursday? Do you have some suggestion for me to learn English?
Do you have something to talk with? Talk to me? Like, do you have some topic?
You are native English?
Why coffee?
Maybe when I talk with you and I have some mistake in my grammar, can you correct me? I have a question. When I talk to you, you can understand me? What do you think about my English?
It gets to initiate sequences, which is a nice thing to do. So affordances, you get extensive modeling of affiliation, K plus, and very specific action types. And you also get the opportunity to initiate sequences or being the first mover. Constraints, you're exposed to a very limited range of action types and epistemic stances and affective stances. Now repair. So practices for addressing problems in speaking and hearing and understanding interaction. And there are segments of repair organization. It's kind of, it's not just when people think about seeking clarification, it's so much more complicated than that. So when you look at a repair segment, you kind of look at it in conversation analysis. There's repair initiation and repair outcome. And initiation can be done by the person. Self means the person who kind of produces the trouble source. Other is the person who doesn't, basically. That's a self and other. And repair outcome can also be produced by self and other, and then it'll kind of engender these very different trajectories. 2 by 2 is like a 4. So here's an example of what we call other initiated repair.
Now, I don't think that you should be going to the parties that Beth goes to. She is 18 years old, and you are 14, darling.
I know, but all the rest of my people my age are grouse. I promise they are sick.
They're what?
Grouse. It's a grouse. graph is just somebody who's really just immature. You don't want to hang around people like that.
Okay, so there's a trouble source, which is graphs, right? And then you have initiations. They are what? What's a graph? And then you have outcomes, the repair. First of all, just repeat it. You treat it as a problem with hearing, or you go ahead and explain it. So this seems very ordinary, right? So stuff that happens. Now, ChatGPT does initiate repair.
That must have been an amazing experience. What did you see?
I saw Moby Dick.
La Boheme is such a classic. It must have been incredible to see it live.
So some years ago, you don't know, right? Maybe it's hearing it as La Boheme, I don't know. But there is that 3.0. I mean, this feels like there's difficulty getting it. I'm going to conjecture there's trouble hearing, trouble understanding it, but it did not want to deal with it. And just like, let me just go on, pick another one. And so this is not like, it's like not in the other ones. Like, what's a graph? It's like, what's Moby Dick? Moby Dick what? So I'm going to credit so we're doing the data session in my doctoral seminar, and we're going through these examples, and then finally I said, I don't think it knows how to initiate repair. And one of my doctoral students, Mark, says, it's progressivity over intersubjectivity. That's right, isn't it? It's about moving forward. It's more important. The orientation for ChatGPT is moving forward, regardless, instead of establishing the common understanding, intersubjectivity, which is so important in human interaction, so important in teaching and learning. That's the whole thing about, it's about trying to establish intersubjectivity. So it's just one way to kind of look at it. So if ChatGPT not initiating repair, what that means for the language learner is that you're not getting practice for providing that repair, right? If you never ask me to say, what's X, what's a graph, I never get to tell you, explain what a graph is, basically. Or Moby Dick. If you never ask me, what's Moby Dick, I never get to talk to you more about it. Now, sometimes it does provide repair, but they're not super helpful.
Genres, can you spell it?
Of course. A thriller is a genre of literature, film, or television that is characterized by excitement, suspense, and tension. It's designed to keep the audience on the edge of their seats. The word is spelled T-H-R-I-L-L-E-R.
So L5 is asking what's genre, so she couldn't pronounce, so she said genres. But they were talking about, AI had used the word genre before, and now you get this explanation, supposed to be an explanation what a genre is. Instead of giving what a genre is, he gives an example of it, and then didn't quite do the work of really getting to what genre means, right? Here's another one.
The combo is?
No worries at all. Sometimes it's just about trying out different things and seeing what you like. If you ever want any suggestions or want to brainstorm some combos, I'm here to help.
So they were talking about bagels, and AI has suggested, oh, you can have this, and you can have some kind of a combo of so the language learner says, what's a combo? And how do you like the explanation? I don't think you get one. There is no worries about, let's just move forward. Don't worry about combos, just try different things. That's the bigger point. So if ChatGPT does not provide useful repair in the, there's some typo in there, in other initiated self-repair, what this means is the language learner also is not getting the help they seek, right? When you say, what's a combo, or what's a genre, you're not really getting what you're trying to. Now, I'll give you another example that this is from self-initiated other repair. So sometimes you have trouble, and then the other person comes in, basically, right? So this is actually me and my 3-year-old daughter many, many years ago. I think I was having trouble naming the kind of a nutri bar or whatever.
Ben?
She calls, I did. She calls, squishy bar. No, she calls the NutriBar squishy bar, not the Clif bar, right?
So I'm having trouble. So there's an initiating, right, silence, like I'm having trouble having that word search. And then you have that repair of a squishy bar. She offers it. So this is, and if maybe let's go back to an earlier example in ChatGPT talk. If you remember, it says, oh, that's very fun. It's like that. And it goes, that sounds great. Instead of so it did not really provide the repairing self-initiated other repair. And here's another example.
Metropolitan Museum, I could saw real things, real sculpture.
And it didn't, did you, wait. So she's trying to do a search, right? Could saw real in 160, and AI comes in again. That's wonderful. So that's kind of the same sort of thing as moving forward, progressivity. Now, so if ChatGPT is not providing repair, what you're getting is you're not getting the help you actually need. In this case, you're not specifically asking for help, but you are in a situation where help can be helpful, and you won't get it. So it sounds like repair is really, really bad. I haven't identified anything that's good about it. So are there anything, right? Is there anything that's good in terms of repair sequences that's good for language learners building interactional competence?
Multimodality.
Yeah.
Show the text and hear the voice.
Yeah.
Do that with the talk.
Oh, so when they were doing that, right, they're not getting the text.
Oh.
Yeah. They're just looking at the bubble, in our data at least. But you're right, because that also changes things definitely. Yeah, that could be a huge advantage actually, because I'm trying to learn French. That really helps when you have a subtitle. So that's the same kind of idea. That could be that's definitely affordance. Yeah. So let's look at this one again. Not again, another one. So once in a while, actually, let me just play it. So this is kind of an interesting one. That's all a single case that have nothing. It's not something that happens again and again.
Room in the Vatican do you like the most?
I forgot the name. There is a many scholar, and the place is Athens.
I was transcribing this. I had no idea what she's talking about. They were, so she's talking about visiting the Vatican in Rome. So the AI says, is there anything is there a particular thing that you really like? And she explains it, right? So this is, anybody, do you think you can help? Really? Nobody?
Can you play again?
Okay.
Room in the Vatican do you like the most?
I forgot the name. There is a many scholar, and the place is Athens.
I forgot the name. There is many scholars.
And the place is Athens. This is what it sounds like. The place is Athens. Many scholar. The place is Athens. Yeah. Okay. All right. So you probably, if you are there, you'll probably say something. This is
The School of Athens.
You got it right
One of
before, yes.
Raphael's most famous frescoes.
Good for you.
It's incredible how he depicted so many great figures together.
I'm gonna play this again because it is a very exciting moment. And I was so impressed by ChatGPT because when I was transcribing, I was like, I have no idea what it is. And it goes,
The School of Athens.
yeah.
That's one of Raphael's most famous frescoes.
Yes.
Incredible how he depicted so many great figures together.
Yes.
Such an amazing choice.
Yes.
So when that happens, it's amazing. It's so exciting. So all this aesthetic stance from the learner and the language learner is like somebody gets her, and she's having so much trouble. So that's just a wonderful moment. It's very so impressive, and that's again, it's one thing. But when it happens, it's very exciting, right? When it's compared to moments like you're trying to speak, nobody understands you. It's very frustrating and demoralizing. And then this person goes, the School of Athens. So that's an affordance. I think it could happen more. Maybe they are trained to hear so many different accents. They get to be a better guesser. I don't know. So the other affordance is, again, you get the opportunity to initiate repair, which is something in the repair sequence, right?
Please.
Could you say again, please? Sorry, would you say again, please?
Sorry, but more sorry. What do you mean? What is cousin?
Sorry, could you speak more slowly? Sorry, I can't understand.
Brain combo? What's that?
So this is the opportunity is wide open there. So here's one in context. In the genre one.
Favorite genres?
Sorry, what is genres? Can you spell it?
All right. Summarizing the affordances, there's greater learner opportunities for initiating repair, for sure. I didn't put the other one in, the getting understood, because it's a single case, but I feel like I wanted to show it. And constraints is really limited exposure to repair, period. Limited practice of providing repair as well. And limited opportunity of receiving repair or use for repair, period. So constraints, I'm going to summarize the whole thing. I think I'm almost toward the end. Exposure to a limited range of turn sizes and timings. Exposure to limited range of actions and stances. We're getting kind of a theme there. It's just a narrow range. Limited exposure to repair and practice of receiving and providing repair. So that's kind of a constraint side. Affordances, in terms of turn taking, you get practice for a wider range of turn allocation as a learner, and you also get practice for producing multi-unit turns. In terms of sequencing, you get greater exposure to very specific set of actions. It's not a bad thing, and greater exposure to the affiliative stance or K+ stance, and practice for initiating sequences, being the first mover, and in terms of repair, you get practice for initiating repair more. I don't think students get to do that very often if you're in the classroom. So some thoughts in progress. One is I feel like it is a useful resource for developing IC, interactional practices, competence, despite its current limitations. There are things you can get out of it. There are clear limitations. And also, it might be a kind of a population-specific tool, just something I'm thinking, where in resource-constrained environments where you don't get a tutor, you don't get people to speak with, it's good. And also, it's probably good for very agentive learners, have a lot of agency and a bit of a language level. You've got a little bit of language that you can play with, so you can say, what is it? Tell me what's combo. What is genre? Sorry, I didn't get it. Can you please speak slowly? So you can control it quite a bit if you really take charge of the interaction. But not everybody can do that. So, I'm stealing this from my colleague Zhang Han's PowerPoint, and she gave me permission. This is a quote from New York Times. AI, like airplanes and skid loaders, works far better in the hands of experienced operators in terms of the kinds of language learners that might work for better. And I wanted to kind of come back to this idea of progressivity over intersubjectivity, because I think this means we still need language teachers, Because if it doesn't do intersubjectivity, and teaching is all about establishing common intersubjectivity, so it's something, if it's its major flaw, there's hope for keeping our jobs in a sense. That's it, and I would love to invite you to Lindsay in the fall. The call is open, and it's only, I realize that it's only really 2 hours, 3 hours door to door, so come to the city, submit an abstract, or just join us in the fall. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hansun, for your very timely and thought-provoking talk today. I first want to actually thank you personally because, like for your work broadly, because it has been enormously helpful for me as a language teacher. My training is in experimental linguistics, but I also teach language, and I engage with language learners and language teachers every day. And then over time, I realized that unlike in experimental settings where many variables are very carefully controlled, in teaching language, I actually deal with much messier or perhaps more natural data. And through your book, Conversation Analysis and Second Language Pedagogy, that you showed in the beginning of your talk, actually through that book, I found joy of analyzing this messy data. I learned the concept of interactional competence and all the principles of conversation through your book. So I really, really thank you for your work.
Thank you.
And in fact, some of us in our department have come together and then use some of the principles that you suggested in your book, and we brought some ZA-informed interventions to our own language curriculum. So I really, really appreciate the effort that you made to bring very technical stuff, very accessible, and also very meaningful, especially for language teachers. And then I see E nodding her head at this. So, that's one reason why I found your talk today was really helpful for many of us as language learners and language teachers. And you talk about the interaction between language learners and AI today. And I have a question, maybe more a fundamental question about that. So do you see, so you talked about affordances and also constraints, but do you see these AI's limitations as conversation partners mainly as something that may improve as technology advances, or do you think they point to a more fundamental mismatch between how just AI engages in the very socially co-constructed nature of human conversation? I'm asking this question because thinking about language learners, interactional competence develops through genuine social interactions. And I wonder if there is this fundamental limit to what language learners could gain from AI interactions, even after technology somehow mimics, it overcomes all the limitations and then mimics human conversations. Because, given that participation with AI in the end is sort of it's simulated rather than genuinely social. So I understand that it's helpful for some aspects. There is limitations. So what if we really overcome those technical limitations so that it could actually simulate real human-like conversations? But
you're saying it can't.
I'm asking you whether you.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm not sure.
I don't know.
It's missing the very nature of human-to-human interaction, which is you have to have subjectivity to achieve intersubjectivity, but AI doesn't have subjectivity. It's all trained based on data that's given to it. So that's fine.
This is probably a great one for everybody. I don't think I don't have an answer to that. I'd like to wait and see, to be honest. I think the default answer, usually people say, there's no way. This is a machine, we're human, it's never going to happen. One thing I noticed is how fast it learns. It's kind of scary. So right now it's actually doing a little bit like they're putting like cutoffs, in breath, little things so April 2025 sounds very different from November 2025. So it does pick up stuff, and I don't know how far it will go. I just want to stay open to that. I don't know, to be honest, whether, and I think maybe a philosopher, somebody else can answer a bigger, more fundamental question of human sociality or whatever. I'm looking at more specific features of interaction and how the different ways it can, because it's, the stuff I've shown that are the failures, right? For me, they are not unachievable. I'm not an engineer, but if you're an engineer, you say, okay, we don't initiate repair. Let's work on initiating repair. Why can't you? I don't know if that's possible from a technical people, you know, I don't do that. But I just feel like there are things that can be done that's not that hard, yeah. I mean, I think people should talk. I would love to have a bigger discussion.